Spirit Sports Consultants presents
NCAA college football early games. For this video, we've identified two key value plays that we like. Look out for our future video in which we run down all the games and give our forecasted scores for each of the games on the slate. But for this video, we're going to start out with Navy against Notre Dame. Can't say at because it's a neutral site in Dublin, Ireland. These two teams have a long history, and this will be the third time the two teams have faced each other in Dublin, Ireland, so we really look forward to this one. We'll talk details here in a second. And our second game is going to be Florida at Utah. We distinctly remember watching this game last season when Utah was a prohibitive favorite going into Florida, where it's very difficult to play. The Swamp lives up to its name. It's kind of crazy. Anthony Richardson had a great game, and the Gators won. Let's look at the Navy and Notre Dame game in a little bit more detail. For one thing, the line is Notre Dame minus 20.5 points. Looking at recent history, you're going to look just back to last year. The game was very closely fought. Notre Dame built up a big lead, but ultimately the final score was Notre Dame 35, Navy 32. So that's 3 points. Even if you consider that Notre Dame scores 35, that would mean they'd have to win 35-14 to cover that spread. We think Navy can score a little bit more than that, so we're leaning towards Navy. Another factor that benefits Navy is the familiarity with Notre Dame. They play every year, and that familiarity is an edge for an underdog. But one thing we really love, Navy's rush defense allows fewer than 90 yards per game. And Notre Dame features a strong rush offense, so we think that they're going to slow them down a little bit and have an advantage. And also, if you look at Notre Dame's history from last season, big losses to Marshall and Stanford, games they should have won. They had big wins against Clemson and South Carolina, impressive, but those losses are a concern. We look at the 20.5 point line, and we see an advantage towards Navy. So we're going to say look for the 21 if you have to buy up that half point just to cover the 3 touchdown margin. But we're going to make that our spirit pick for this week. And the second game on our list is going to be Florida at Utah. Utah here is favored by 7 points. We see this as reasonable considering it's a rematch game of the game Florida won at home in the Swamp last year, where Anthony Richardson kind of announced his presence. On the Florida side, we feature that game. We see them winning the game last year, showing how strong they are. I think a lot of that was probably Anthony Richardson. And then we see that they had a very strong recruiting class to replace a lot of those players that went off to the NFL. We're curious to see how much of an impact that is. We see that maybe Anthony Richardson's loss is going to be difficult to replace in this one. On the Utah side, we see the big if with quarterback Cam Rising. Not sure what his health status is going to be, and if he doesn't play, it's very questionable for us. We see this being a revenge game, having been upset last year. Hosting the game, you've got an altitude advantage. Playing in Utah, that could play to their strengths as well, and we see that this should benefit Utah, and overall we're going to take Utah here as a conditional if Cam Rising plays. So you have to follow the news and watch this. If he's out, don't play on this one. We're not going to say take Florida. We're going to say it's a no play. But if Cam Rising plays, the team is 100%. We like Utah in this matchup. And although the current line is 7, we want you to seek out the 6.5 point line. Buy down if necessary to get off that touchdown margin.
That's all for this time. Thank you for joining. Please subscribe to our channel, and we look forward to sharing our future videos with you.